Man, I'm out of breath. Can't lie. I sprinted downstairs and grabbed that Gatorade. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Wednesday, November 5th. We've got a jam-packed slate. Tons of news, both to wait on and some that we've already gotten. Lots to break down. We're going to go game by game through this entire slate, then toss this one over to Live Before Lock. I'm Josh Engelman. That right there, DK DFS. Follow him on Twitter at DK__DFS. What's going on, man?
Yeah, doing pretty good. This was a big slate for news for both props and DFS. Told you about this before the stream, but sitting on a 60-1 Westbrook triple-double ticket. Well, just 10 plus rebounds, 10 plus assists. So hoping Russ can cook tonight. But yeah, excited to talk this through. And I think it's a really, really solid slate overall.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, we've got 3 games locking at 7, 2 more at 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9:30, and then obviously a 3-game 10 o'clock slate that has already had a bundle of news, which makes me feel really good about the DraftKings slate. But, you know, not everybody gets the fun for it. We're starting it off. Philadelphia 76ers at the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is not the same Philadelphia 76ers team that played yesterday, though, because Joel Embiid and Jared McCain will not be playing in this one. And then maybe more importantly, we are waiting on a little bit of news in Cleveland. Do you want to just start there? You got any leans on this Cavs team?
For Cleveland, so I think Garland's going to play. I think he'll be limited in his first game back. Hunter was a late add with an illness. I think that's basically close to 50-50. And then Allen and Merrill, I don't really have a super strong take on. So, yeah, I guess I would say I'm pretty confident Garland plays. The other 3, I think, are more up in the air.
That will obviously dictate everything here, because this could go from no interest, which is what's on the screen right now. Highest owned guy in the game, Tyrese Maxey, 7%, optimal 10.5. If this Cleveland news breaks in a different way, this entire table fills up with really high Cleveland numbers, depending on how many of those guys end up out. There's not much we could do with that right now. Do you like anything for Cleveland if all of these guys are playing?
No, I think it's pretty hard to get to Cleveland if everyone's in. Obviously, you're adding another ball handler and a relative high usage player in Garland. Jared Allen will obviously soak up a lot of center minutes. Merrill's just one more body in the rotation. So, like, a lot of Cleveland has been priced up from when these guys have been out. And now we're, I think, at least getting one back, probably a few. So, I think it would be kind of tough to get to Cleveland if everyone's in.
What about the opposite side here? Joel Embiid not playing today on the back-to-back. Tyrese Maxey went bananas yesterday. Now he's here, 10K. VJ Edgecombe here, 7,500. Quentin Grimes here. Every one of these guys that I'm naming is barely pulling any ownership. Do you like anything from the Philly side?
Yeah, I think if I'm going to play someone in Philly, it would be Maxey. I mean, he's been insane this year. Small sample size, but with Embiid off the court this year, 31% usage rate. Also has 33% assist percentage. So the ceiling is very high on Maxey. I will say if a few of these guys on Cleveland don't play, probably a little bit of a better chance the game does stay competitive. Obviously, if Cleveland's fully healthy, there's some blowout risk. But yeah, I think for me, it would basically just be Maxey. Like, I'm expecting Bona to start at the 5 and then Drummond to back him up. Those 2 to play majority of the center minutes. Edgecombe is priced to a point where, like, that's just the correct price for him, in my opinion. And kind of the same thing with Grimes and Oubre. I do expect a pretty tight rotation here. But I do think it's kind of tough to get to these other pieces outside of Maxey. And then, like, the power forward position, you'll probably get like Walker or Watford kind of splitting run there. So, I think right now for me, it's Maxey, and that's about it.
I do have a little bit of interest in these guys from the sense that, like, those are not insignificant boom rates here, and they are completely unowned. I like working through some of these guys at the top in tournaments. And I wouldn't mind having, like, I don't know, up to, 15% of Maxey, 10 of Mobley or Grimes or Edgecombe, all these like 1 or 2% guys, because I do think they're a little underrepresented. And I don't think it's crazy if, Quentin Grimes goes for 40 fantasy points today, which is going to be more than fine. Edgecombe's price is pretty prohibitive, but even still, I'm interested in this game, and I go through that thought process, and then I remember this is the first game in the slate. It's 7:00. Anything I take here is blocking me out of anything I want to do later. And it brings me back to looking at this ownership and thinking it's probably right.
Yeah, the one thing I will say there is just like Philly's been running an extremely tight rotation. You take 2 guys out of the rotate, you take 2 guys out, right? McCain and Embiid. Like, I think in a competitive game, I would not be shocked at all if all 3 of Maxey, Edgecombe, and Oubre play over 40 minutes. I think it's certainly in the range of outcomes. So, in a competitive game, I do think you can take some shots, but it's not like you're getting really any of those guys at a discount. But I agree with you. I think they're a little bit more interesting than the ownership.
The Utah Jazz are in Detroit, close to 10-point dogs, 232 total. We are getting some ownership in this one. The highest of which, shout out Eric Lindquist once again for the incredible Nuke of the Night pick 2 nights ago by taking Isaiah Stewart on this very show. Actually, no, technically it was live before lock, but either way. 40% owned Isaiah Stewart right now, 5,200 power forward center. Got the start alongside Jalen Duren last time out. This would be the assumption that continues. 30% ownership coming into Yusuf Nurkic, the now full-time starting center for the Utah Jazz. Walker Kessler done for the year, torn labrum, having surgery. Cade Cunningham, 25% owned. Quite a bit of positive leverage here in the boom bust tool. And then a scattering of 10%ers. Ron Holland, Keontae George, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren. Hell, Kevin Love's getting 5% ownership today. Let's start at the top. How do you feel about the chalk?
Yeah, so Isaiah Stewart at around 40% ownership, I think is fine. Maybe slightly overowned, but the role is really solid for him. I expect him to start here once again. He played 34 minutes. Again, 26 and 14 and 4 assists. I don't know if we would expect that again. You did have some Ron Holland foul trouble. You also had some Asar Thompson foul trouble last game. So maybe the minutes were a little bit higher on Stewart than they would have been without that foul trouble. But still, right now, like, it definitely stands out as one of the better point per dollar plays on this slate. And then Nurkic is the other guy getting a lot of ownership, 5,300. I think he's a good option. He played 31 minutes last game. Nurkic on the year is a 1.21 fantasy point per minute player. I don't think you're expecting 31 minutes. I think mid-20s is probably a fair guess for Nurk. So I think he's totally reasonable. We'll talk about some other centers that I think are viable pivots off of Nurkic. But yeah, I have no issue with Stewart. I think the Nurk ownership may be a little bit high too, but yeah, I totally understand why it's happening.
I love Cade here. 10-2. I like him more than I like Maxey. I agree with our positive leverage wholeheartedly. I want to have a boatload of Cade. Usage kicks up a little bit with no Tobias Harris around, and he gets to face the Jazz. Like, it's Yusuf Nurkic at center, not Walker Kessler. There's not a lot of defensive going-ons over here in Utah. I think Cade is going to thrive, carve these guys up, score at will. Whatever he wants to do, I think he's going to be able to do. My favorite pay-up option today right now is Cade Cunningham. Yeah,
I have no issue with that at all. Love the matchup for him. The only concern, I guess, would be, can Utah keep this game competitive? But yeah, I think the ceiling's massive on Cade tonight.
Yeah, I am. That is going to be. I look at that 34% optimal, 26% ownership, and knowing he's one of those higher leverage guys, that is going to be a stand that I am making today. We'll see what that ends up looking like by the time we get to lock. And then we get to these also like side piece dudes. Ron Holland, Keontae George, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren. If you want to keep going for Kevin Love and Duncan Robinson, go for it. I'm assuming there's a guy in there that you probably like more than others, and I'm assuming some of these guys you probably don't like as much. What stands out?
Yeah, so I think Duren's a pretty interesting tournament play at around 10%. Obviously, you have some leverage there with Chalk Stewart, who's getting 4x the ownership. Now, again, different price points, but still, like the minutes have been really solid on Duren in games where he's avoided foul trouble. Like he played 34 minutes last game. Like he definitely has 35 minutes in his range of outcomes, assuming he can avoid that foul trouble. So I think Duren's a pretty interesting tournament play. I mentioned Ron Holland. He dealt with some foul trouble last game. He definitely would have played more without that foul trouble. Only ended up playing 20 minutes. I think you got like mid 20s, maybe even high 20s for sure in the range of outcomes there for Ron Holland minutes. So another interesting tournament option. Keontae George, I want to keep an eye on the news for Collier. So last game, we got news that like didn't think he was going to play. If he does play, like for sure play, then that like doesn't make me like Keontae as much because I think Collier would kind of take away some of that ball handling role from Keontae. So I am keeping an eye on that. Other than that, you mentioned Kevin Love. They did play, basically split the 48 center minutes with him and Nurkic. I don't think they have to do that. 2 games ago, they didn't. They played a little bit of small ball. I don't think I'll be getting to Kevin Love on the slate. We'll talk about some other more contrarian centers. So that's basically it for me.
All righty. I'm going to end up with a bunch of Cade. I'll probably have too much Nurkic. I think Ron Holland is probably my guy in this range, just from the small forward, power forward eligibility, the 4K price tag. I'm also anticipating being lighter on Isaiah Stewart, but we'll see where that ends up. I'm going to dig into that one a little bit later, but that would not surprise me right now. Not getting to the beef stew. I don't mind being I don't mind being like not here for it, but if he does it again, it will sting.
Yeah, I think there's some other guys in that range that we can look to for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe going a little bit over owned.
All right, 2 down. We're keeping it moving. Folks, hit the like button if you can. It helps us out a ton. There's like 1,000 of you here right now. If we can get that up to 200, 20% of you, I don't think that's a big ask. 80% of you wouldn't do it, which is crazy to me, but that's fine. Brooklyn Nets, Indiana Pacers. This is a dreadful basketball game, given the injuries and general lack of talent, depending on which team we're talking about. But unfortunately, we've got a lot of ownership here. 40% of it to Jarris Walker, 20% of it to Pascal Siakam. Kind of looks like the last game we just talked about. And then 4 to 6 guys all around the 10 to 15 range. Cam Thomas, Isaiah Jackson, Aaron Nesmith, Nick Claxton, Ray J. Dennis, Michael Porter Jr. Indiana's just missing a bundle of dudes. Rampage Jackson's out for this one now too. What do you want to do with Jarris Walker? This guy has been chalk a lot. The price just keeps coming up, and his role just keeps climbing as more of these Pacers die.
Yeah, I mean, the role's really solid for Jarris Walker. Again, I think he's definitely one of the better point per hour plays on the slate. Again, though, I think going slightly over-owned. Like, for example, there's one guy, Aaron Nesmith, coming in a quarter of the ownership at a same price point. I think factoring in that ownership, I would rather go to Nesmith in tournaments. Usage has been solid for him. Shot attempts have been there. He's actually, finally been making a few shots over the last couple games, 42 and 30 fancy points in those games. So while I do think Walker's a good value, I don't know if I necessarily think he should be 4x the ownership of Nesmith. So if that holds, I think I'll be a little bit more inclined to look to Nesmith as a pivot at basically the same price point.
Okay. I like that shout. The guy that I like that I'm going to end up having too much of, and it's just not something I ever want. I'm going to have too much Michael Porter Jr. by like a lot. I mean, I like
it. This is, I would say overall, this is probably my favorite game to get to for tournaments. So,
yeah,
at around 10%. I mean, the rebounding number has been solid for him. The roll's been really good. Ball handling's up. So, I like that call out too.
I mean, he's going to shoot the shit out of the ball. And if he can get a good look, like, he's an exceptional shooter. And he's not going to be afraid to let it go, especially when he knows that his team is going nowhere. Is the only thing that matters is like if he wants to shoot and if he's in it for today, he's going to let it sail. 9% owned, 6,900. Would I like a slightly better price or like the MPE? Sure, but 9% owned. I like it in this spot. I think there's a lot to mine out of this game at like relatively low ownership. kind of like Cam Thomas for similar reasons. Like these guys are just every once in a while, one of them's just going to go insane because they take all of the shots.
Yeah, for sure. And the issue with the Nets, and it's going to be the issue basically the entire year, is just like, blowouts, right? But this is a game against Pacers with like half their team out that you would think it can stay competitive. So, and we have seen the minutes have been pretty solid on the main pieces for Brooklyn in competitive games recently. Like Cam Thomas averaging like mid-30s minutes, similar for Michael Porter Jr. So, those are two guys that I like a good amount. And then two of my favorite GPP plays of the slate are actually the two centers in this game. So Nick Claxton coming in around 10%. For me, like, I just don't understand why Nurkic is 3x the ownership of Nick Claxton. Like, what is the difference here? Nick Claxton, 34 minutes 2 games ago. 30 minutes last game, was pacing for 34 minutes. It's just a fantastic spot against the Pacers front court. So, yeah, the role has changed for Claxton. Like, the minutes are ticking up. Like, I think 35 minutes is certainly in the range of outcomes. So I absolutely love Claxton here for tournaments. And the opposite side, Isaiah Jackson minutes are also ticking up around 15% ownership. I think there's a little bit more risk with Isaiah Jackson just because they have a lot of other centers and he's very foul prone. But he played 29 minutes last game, 27 a few games ago. I definitely think you could see high 20s minutes again here for Isaiah Jackson. So those two I'm pretty high on for tournaments, and I like as pivots off of Chalk Nurkic.
I love the Nick Claxton shout out with regards to Nurk. I think those guys are super close to each other. I have them super close to each other, separated by 0.02 in value. I anticipate having a bit more of Nick Claxton than the 9.7 we're seeing. I think we're in agreement here. I think we both are probably going to be a little bit heavier on this game than what the current ownership is showing.
Yeah, and then the last guy that I didn't even talk about yet is Pascal Siakam. So 9,500. Yeah. I think that the Pacers are going to start Ben Shepherd. So that would actually help Pascal Siakam. Just more ball handling, potential assists are up when Quentin Jackson was off the court. So if they do start Ben Shepherd, who's really more out there just for kind of space the floor for shooting, I think the role is even better for Pascal Siakam. I think he has a massive ceiling here. I know the price point is up, but I still think he's firmly in play here.
Completely agree. 9,500 next to Pascal's name looks weird, but I have no qualms getting to him today.
He's basically their starting point guard. So
he's their starting everything right now. I mean, there's not too many guys whose name you recognize as you work your way down the Indiana Pacers roster. Let's kick it to the next one, shall we?
Yep.
Another gem. The Wizards are 12-point dogs in Boston. Oof. And the only ownership that exists in this game are to the three real guys from Boston. Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. They're all like 15% owned. And then you get a bunch of fives in Neemias Queta, Sarr, Keyshawn George. But it's just the good people from Boston are getting some love because they get to face the Wizards. And I agree. They look good. One of those guys is going to be awesome today against the Wizards if Boston wins.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here with the main pieces for Boston. Totally understand why they're getting ownership. 7,500 for White, 8,400 for Jaylen Brown, 6,600 for Peyton Pritchard. Once again, I think it's probably the easiest to get to Pritchard. He's the cheapest of the three, does have shooting guard eligibility, but I think all three have a pretty high ceiling here. If the game does stay competitive, would not be surprised if all three played over 35 minutes. So totally understand why that's happening. Queta at around 5% is just fine. He's another value center that's playable. I think that I'm a little bit higher on Washington than the current ownership. I know there's, the blowout risk, but Alex Sarr at 5%. I mean, we've seen in games that have stayed competitive, this guy does have a pretty high ceiling. So I think a little bit more interest in him than the current ownership. I think Keyshawn George can make the same argument for at 6,800. So I think Washington a little bit more interested in the current ownership, but I don't want to go crazy here and be like stacking up the Wizards, but I do think if the game stays competitive that, probably at least one of like Sarr or George is going to have a pretty good game.
I would agree. Probably lean. I mean, maybe it's Koulibaly at 5,500 power forward. Like position kind of stinks for him, but like every day he's like slowly working his way back. Does one day it become a couple extra minutes that we never knew were coming? Or does he just progress a little bit more? Because he's completely unowned and could certainly have some sort of like outlier defensive day too. He can get there with steals in a weird way.
Yeah, no, I like to call it and Koulibaly. I should have mentioned him too. He was pacing for over 30 minutes last game before the blowout. So I would not be shocked if he plays like 32 minutes in this game in a competitive game. So another viable contrarian play.
There we go. We'll hit the super chat from Sean Jeezy, friend of the program. I've had a pretty hot run of DFS the last few days. Just wanted to say thanks to you guys for all of your insight every night. Good luck, everyone. Good luck to you too as well. I've seen the screenshots every morning. Every morning it's a different top 3 in some like legitimately relevant contest. So good work. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. We got a lot more to talk about. 4 more games to go on the DraftKings side of the coin, and we'll hit a little bit of the FanDuel side as well. Let's get to the one that has quite a bit of question marks. Oh, wait. No, we're good, right? We're good on Washington and Boston?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Yeah. Minnesota and New York. Knicks, Wolves. These teams are intertwined. They traded some of their stars a few years ago, and we've got a lot of injury news to deal with in this game. Let's work our way down the list. Anthony Edwards is questionable for this game. He has been out for a bit now, but this is quicker than I was expecting him to come back. Expectation, he plays.
Yeah, I think Ant plays here, and I know we were talking about this a little bit before we went live. I don't think you project it, but I think it's certainly possible that Anthony Edwards comes out and just plays normal minutes. Like this guy always fights through injuries and is usually pretty quick to recover from them as well. So while I don't think you project to that, like I think 36 minutes for Anthony Edwards is definitely in the range of outcomes. Now, will I get to him for DFS? Probably not. But like I do think he could come out and just play normal minutes here.
Garland and Allen likely to play. Sam Merrill on track to play.
Okay.
So we're getting all the Cavs news right now.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay.
Pretty hard to get to then.
So that's the Ant take. Does Towns play?
Yeah, the Towns one. He was a midday ad with the illness. I kind of lean that he plays just because it's an illness and because it's the revenge spot against Minnesota. So I would say slightly lean that he's in, but like that's not super confident. Definitely a chance that he sits.
9% ownership to Jalen Brunson, 5 to Towns, and that's it. Do you want to get to this game at all? Does this give you any other game vibes? Is this one more interesting than some of the others that haven't looked great? What do we want to do here?
No, I think this game is pretty hard to get to, at least especially on the Minnesota side, right? Like a lot of these guys are priced up from when Anthony Edwards was out. Now we get Anthony Edwards back. So I think it's really hard to get to anyone on Minnesota. For New York, I do think you can make the argument for Brunson and Cat on this slate. Again, both these guys sub 10% owned. Cat, we have seen the ceiling games. We've seen the ceiling games from Brunson as well. So I think those guys you can mix in a little bit. But again, Mitch Robinson is going to play here for the Knicks. So, that does lower the rebounding numbers a bit on Karl-Anthony Towns when they're both out there. Basically it would just be those two, and that's really it. Now things would get obviously way more interesting if Karl-Anthony Towns gets ruled out, because then Brunson gets a nice usage bump. He would become a really good spend up. And then we would have to consider more of the wings, guys like Bridges and OG. I think Josh Hart would be a really good play in that scenario. I think he could push for 30 minutes if Karl-Anthony Towns gets ruled out. And then the starting lineup, they would probably go Shaman again, but outside chance that, McBride could start. So we could have some value there for New York as well. But again, right now I am expecting him to play.
Yeah, if everybody's in here, I probably don't end up with a ton, any sort of Brunson or Towns or Ant that sneaks into my lineup. So I'm not going to freak out, but I expect it to be relatively minimal. But if we lose Towns for this one, That's going to really shake things up. And we're going to end up getting, as you mentioned, Brunson. Everything changes for Bridges, for Hart, for OG, for... I almost said Precious. I'm still in last year's Knicks mode. Yabu or Porty. I mean, it's going to look very, very different if Towns is out. That's going to be very important news. And 7:30 start. We might get that at 6:59.
Yeah, I'm curious what the ownership would be, but I think my favorite of the wings probably would be Josh Hart. Just I think he would just get like the biggest role increase of him and OG and Mikal Bridges, but obviously I would have interest in all three.
Okay. Let's take a brief moment to talk about how you could sign up at Stokastic, because it really is the easiest experience possible. There is a link in the description of the video that you're watching right now. If you click that link, it'll take you to a landing page at Stokastic. It's going to list out all of our partners, sportsbooks, pick'em sites, and the deal that you get from them when you sign up. Click the link, follow the instructions. Whatever it says at the top of the screen, you're going to end up sending us an email with proof of your first bet. Once you do that, you get a month of the Sims for no cost whatsoever. $0 paid to us. And you can do this over and over again with these different partners. If you can qualify, if you're able to sign up at 6 different partners because you've never signed up there before, you can do that through that link. All 6. That will be 6 months of Sims that you can get for $0. It's never any easier to get in at Stokastic. If you want to sign up through one of the partners, come on in for a month for free. Oh, I forgot to switch back to the overlay. I was just going to keep talking there for a second. I would have realized it fast enough. Let's go ahead and hit the next game. Houston and Memphis. Big old underdogs here for Memphis at home. And it's another game. Nope, not New Orleans. We'll get there, unfortunately. It's another game with basically zero ownership. Amin Thompson snuck over the 10% mark. He's at 15. Everybody else sub 10. Durant at 8. Tari Eason at 5. But we are still waiting on a little bit of information here. We don't yet know the status of Jabari Smith. He is questionable. What's your lean?
I think that Jabari Smith plays. It didn't sound too serious. I think they said before the game too that like they were only expecting Jabari Smith to be out 1 game. So I think that he plays. Steven Adams one, I don't really have a lean on. So that could open up some value. I think like Clint Capella would be playable if Adams gets ruled out. So that one, sure. I think it's a little more 50-50.
Absolutely. Let's just get this piece out of the way, since we don't have any like swing pieces for Memphis. We just know that everybody's either in or out. Do you like anything for Memphis? Because the highest owned Memphis guy is Cedric Coward at 3%.
No to Memphis. I will say a couple of things though. Coward once again closed over KCP. That has happened in a couple of games now. So like at least that's possible for Cedric Coward. He's played well off the bench. And then John Morant did play 35 minutes last game. Again, he's been kind of capped around that 30-minute mark. So it was good to see that at least we know he can play 35 minutes. But yeah, really bad matchup here. And again, Memphis still running a deep rotation. So they're basically a cross-off for me.
So assuming everybody's in for Houston, do you want any pieces here? Is KD at 8,500 interesting? I mean, Amin Thompson's fine, but point guard only is kind of annoying. I mean, Şengün at 9,400, he should eat this Memphis front court. But what do you want to do here?
Yeah, I think Şengün would be the guy looking at ownership. 5% feels too low. Now, again, a high opportunity cost. We have a lot of really good center values in the slate. So it is tougher to get to Şengün, but man, like if this game stays competitive, I think he has a massive ceiling here. Like he played 40 minutes in their last competitive game. It's been pacing for like close to 40 minutes almost every single game before blowout. So the minutes have been amazing for Şengün and Amin Thompson when he avoids foul trouble. So I think those would be the 2 guys that I look to if everyone's in here for Houston. Again, Amin, reasonable price point. Şengün at 5%, I think is a pretty good tournament play. But, Tari's price has come up if Jabari and Adams are both in. Kind of tougher to get to him. The role went down for Reed Shepherd last game. They played some Aaron Holidays. That concerns me, so I can't really go there. I think if everyone's in, it would just be Şengün and Amen Thompson. And factoring in ownership, I think Şengün would be the preferred way to go.
Jimmy Butler out.
Okay. That's kind of what I was expecting.
I was going to say not super surprising given the results of yesterday.
Do they rule out anyone else? No. Okay. Just Jimmy Butler.
I would assume those are coming.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity. Maybe I could beat him to the punch. Let me take a peek at that injury report for Golden State. No, they didn't do anything else.
They still have everyone.
Everyone else Steph out.
Yeah,
obviously. But Q-tag Draymond, Q-tag Pods.
Okay. Yeah, I think Draymond sits in that game. Pods, I think, is kind of up in the air, but we'll see.
Man, this Houston-Memphis game is like wildly uninteresting from a DFS perspective. And I don't have the same, other than Şengün, I don't have the same sort of like, well, I could see like, yeah, like I kind of want to play a 1% owned Ja Morant on the off chance that he like has old Ja Morant in him and is pissed off at his coach. But like, this isn't the matchup where he does that, right? Like, this is one of the worst places for him to do this.
Yeah, it's a brutal spot for Ja.
You ready to get into the brutal spot?
Let's do it.
All righty. Buckle up, everybody. Hit the like button. We're getting into the main event of this show. It is time to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, who last I looked were 8-point dogs in Dallas, 226 total. For reference, there are games with a 240 total on the slate. And we've got to do the Pelicans experience once again in a similar way that we did it yesterday. I have no idea what these guys are going to do today, but it wasn't great from a DFS perspective yesterday. So we have NoVig Now, Q-tag Jordan Poole, Zion out. Yesterday, Kevon Looney was incredibly popular. That did not go well. Jeremiah Fears was incredibly popular. That did not go well. And now we're kind of doing the whole experience again. Today, $3,300 Jose Alvarado on a twice as big slate is now 25% owned instead of 2 or whatever the hell he was yesterday. I shouted him out, by the way. You heard it here first. Now he's the chalk play of the Pels, as is Herb Jones. What in the world do we do here? Can we go back to any of these people? $3,200 Looney is sitting there today, 6% owned. Derek Queen, 3,700, 15% owned. What do you want to do?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I think this is going to be the key to the slate, obviously, is getting New Orleans right. So I guess we'll start with the Poole news right now. Again, he's listed as questionable. I do not expect him to play. They called up Bryce McGowens from the G League, kind of a signal that Poole is going to be out. Not a guarantee, but I don't think he plays. So I think they're going to start Looney again. And then my guess is that they move Sadiq Bey in the starting lineup. So I think the starting lineup tonight will be Fears, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Bey, and Looney. You did not see any overlap with Fears and Alvarado last game. But if there's no Jordan Poole, which I don't think there will be, I think you definitely will get some overlap just because of how shorthanded this team is. The ownership on Alvarado coming in around 25%, Fears around 15%. I think that is interesting. I do think the role obviously is more secure for Alvarado, so I totally understand why that is happening. But I think Fears is an interesting bounce back candidate. I think if Poole's out, his minutes are a lot more secure. He's an interesting tournament play. Herb Jones finally avoided foul trouble, played 36 minutes. I think he avoids foul trouble, 35 minutes for sure in the range of outcomes. And then Trey Murphy, I think, is going under-owned right now, sub 20%. Also played close to 40 minutes. More of a ball handling role, obviously more usage with Zion out. So yeah, I'm higher on Murphy right now than the field. And then the center position is really hard to predict. So I think, again, they start Looney. I don't know how many minutes he can play. He played, 16 minutes last game. And then you saw Matkovic come in, and then you saw Derek Queen. Derek Queen ended up closing the game. He is not a bad point per minute player. So I think he is interesting at around 15% ownership. And then, Sadiq Bey right now only getting 5%. I'm way higher on that. Again, I think there's a decent chance he starts. So, this is going to be a headache. You obviously have to keep an eye on the news and starting lineup because it could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, because we could just as easily get Jordan Poole in, which is how we have it right now, and nothing looks like those sorts of pieces don't look as good. If he comes out, that we shuffle all of these chairs around. So it's a very curious setup. I think you want to have a lot of this game just sort of by default. And then when you get to it, you figure out what you really have. It's not just New Orleans, though. 35% ownership to Daniel Gafford is the number one number here in this game. Not to mention another 25% to D'Angelo Russell, PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg. We're getting some ownership to the opposite side, which makes sense. The Pelicans aren't good.
Yeah, I agree with this ownership. Gafford, 35%. So they came out and said last game the news limited to 15 to 18 minutes. Well, that was not true because he came out and played 25 minutes. He also went to the locker room and then returned. So I think you're expecting around that 25-minute mark for Gafford. We know he's a good point per minute player and like the matchup a lot for him. So yeah, I like Gafford a good amount. Again, we mentioned some other viable, center pivots in tournaments, but I totally understand why he's getting love. D'Angelo Russell has had a really nice role off the bench recently. I think you're going to expect around that 30-minute mark. The potential assists were great for him last game. A couple games ago, he had like a 35% usage rate. Again, I think eventually, right now, he should start over Klay Thompson. I don't know if they're going to pull that trigger though. So. Love the spot here for D'Lo. Like the upside quite a bit. And then I am way higher on PJ Washington in the field at around 10% ownership. The rebounding numbers go up for PJ. Obviously, more usage as well. He finally had a decent shooting game and went for 55 fantasy points. So, I'm a lot higher on him than the field. The rest of the team, Cooper Flagg around 10% is fine. Max Christie, I think is a pretty safe value play. Projecting for about 10% ownership, has a nice role. I don't think I'm going to get to Najee or Clay on this one.
No, me neither. I have a little bit of an eye on Max Christie for that guard forward eligibility. He's been playing like very legitimate minutes, and it wouldn't shock me at all to shoot your way into something decent against this Pels team. Whatever the news ends up being when we get to it, we're going to end up with a bunch of New Orleans. I'm very curious to see what I have at lock and what I have at their lock, because I think those numbers are ultimately going to be pretty distinctly two different things.
Random, but I feel like over the last couple of years, every time Daniel Gafford goes to the locker room, he always returns. It happened I feel like 5 times last year. It happened again last game. I feel like this guy just always goes back to the locker room, but always ends up returning.
Maybe he's just like a guy that has the poops a lot, but
Possible.
He hides it under the guise of other stuff. I mean, surely there are a bunch of dudes that have played and play in the NBA right now that have really bad stomachs and that they probably have to do this they probably get subbed out so constantly that we don't even notice it any longer because it's just a part of what happens. There's got to be a couple just by default that are just I'm going to shit my pants right now, get me out. Oh man. All right, let me hit this one from the FanDuel side just because the Pelicans are an odd breed, but this is a little different here too. So not nearly as much ownership. It is still Russell. It is PJ Washington here, but Herb Jones at 20. And then nobody on the Pelicans is getting any ownership outside of 5% to Trey Murphy. Now, if Poole ends up out, this will move a bit and will probably create a little bit more value. But the DraftKings FanDuel disparity for Dallas and the Pelicans, it's not the same thing right now. We got one more to go on the DK main. And we're going to pull up FanDuel, go through all of the data for the entire slate so we could hit it in one big bunch. It's hard to talk about these things at the same time because the ownership information is so wildly different between them today. So let's look at it for the next game, the final game, the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Late night hammer, 9 p.m. start. Nuggies projected to win by 10. 25% ownership coming into Nikola Jokic. And slowly but surely, we keep crafting out a little bit more value to get to him. He's 12K, center only. No real leverage on him. We kind of got him properly owned. 63 fantasy point projection. How do you feel about Jokic in this spot?
Yeah, I have no issue with Jokic. Well, like you said, there's more value opening up, so maybe the ownership ticks up a little bit more, but ceiling's massive. Again, he's matchup proof. So yeah, I think he's the ownership is correct, and yeah, not a ton else to add to Jokic, I guess. Denver, when fully healthy, is pretty boring team to talk about. It's like Jokic and Murray, and then if you want to take flyer on one of the wings, fine, but when the team's fully healthy, there's really not a ton to talk about, just because again, it's most of the offense is just Jokic and Murray 2-man game.
Yeah, and they're the two guys getting ownership. Jokic 25, Murray 15, Christian Brown, and the rest of the game sub 6. There's very little here. That said, I've got some interest in some of these pieces that are getting no ownership, and they're the type of guys where I'd like to have more of this game, and if I swap around and I lose it throughout the night, that's totally fine. But like, I don't know. Like, should Pelle Larsson be 0.2% optimal? I don't know. Probably, but shooting guard, small forward, 4,300. Just a 0 today, maybe? Probably. He probably is.
Yeah,
Davion Mitchell, 1% owned. Like, I like a couple of these guys.
Yeah, I'll mention with Larson, I don't think it's a guarantee that he starts. I think it's likely that he starts again, but there's a chance to go big against Denver and throw in like Khalil Ware, or even like Jovic. I think that's possible too. And with Larson, right, like he's not great point per minute. You got Powell back, you got 10-man rotation, so that obviously again he's not getting any love, but there's definitely a lot of downside, I think, with his minutes.
That I would agree with. And that I would very much agree with. Let me look here. Do we have... Surely it's on the NFL show. This is going to change our overview, but whatever. I'm quite confident we have it. Guys, need a favor. We talk about Tails a lot. DK's on the show. He's on Tails. You could subscribe to his package right now if you want to. We got the free picks feed as well. It's constant sports betting, pick'em, DFS content showing up on Tails. We'd love for you guys to download the app. There's a link in the description of this video. Do that. I would love if you left us a 5-star review if that's the experience you have. I can't tell you to do that, but I hope you get what we're looking for. Just pay it forward a little bit here. Leave us a review if you can. It helps us out tremendously to grow. The more that we can do this, the more that we get reviews like this, the better it is for us for growth. The better we can grow, the more that we can provide to you guys. So it all ends up back for you. But the link is in the description. Click it, download the Tails app, leave us a review if you can. Let me try to get back into this crazy NBA folder. Yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm like a little Bruce Brown today. Point guard, shooting guard, 3,300 is the value piece. I could see it. I'm probably going to be light on Jokic. I have been all year. It has been very annoying that I have been, but, I think I'm going to just have like 1,000,000% of Cade Cunningham.
Fair, yeah. I feel like I've had Jokic on his like subpar games, and when I faded, he's gone for like 80. So it has been a little bit tilting. Like I played him, I think against Portland, he went for 59. Faded him against Sacramento, went for 80. So yeah, I feel like I've been on the wrong end of the Jokic thing for DFS this year.
I think I'm just going to play him in the matchups where like he's definitely going to blast the opposing center because he knows he can, and then I'm just going to fade him on the days like today where it's just like, okay, he's just going to give the ball up today. He doesn't want to work that hard against Bam on a Wednesday, but like anytime that he could eat like Sabonis and stuff it in his face because he sucks, like I assume that comes pretty naturally. But like, why work so hard against Bam? I'm just like, here, Christian Brown, shoot that shit. I'm tired, brother. I can go home and think about my horses. All right, let's talk about the FanDuel side. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Let's sort this out. Boom Bust Tool, FanDuel, updated 1 minute ago. What more could you possibly want? Tip of the ownership spear, Luka Doncic, $12,400, point guard only, and the highest owned guy on today's slate. What in the world would you have to make his price tag to bring that down into the 10-15 range? It's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number, but I think it's right for like the role with Luka, with LeBron and Austin Reeves off the court. I mean, this guy's just doing everything. So, the assist numbers obviously go up, more usage, rebounding numbers very solid. So, totally understand why he's getting a lot of ownership, even at that price point. So again, Luka, again, 40+% owned, but I think it's for good reason.
Obviously, we mentioned before, Steph Curry is out. Jimmy Butler is out. There is more news to come potentially for the Warriors. Kuminga, Podziemski, Moses Moody, all already pretty sizably owned in the 30% range. Podziemski, we don't even know if he's going to play. That will change things pretty dramatically. Sacramento has some news. DeMar DeRozan's 35% owned. No Sabonis. No Levine. Russell Westbrook is 30% owned. Get ready for that experience tonight. This is a very different game going on here. OKC's got some bodies out as well, right? Caruso, Chet Holmgren. Very different slate on FanDuel. We couldn't have talked about all of this stuff one-to-one because the top of this ownership table is almost exclusively 10 o'clock games.
Right. Yeah. This would have been a great slate for late swap if they included all these in the DraftKings slate. But yeah, I guess like for Golden State, like quickly talking about them. Again, I don't think Draymond plays. So Kuminga, I think looks like one of the best plays of the slate. Again, you have no Steph, you have no Jimmy Butler. I don't think Draymond plays. So they're going to be leaning on Kuminga a lot here. I think he's going to be one of their primary ball handlers too. So I think the ceiling's massive. And then like you could get some really solid value for Golden State too, especially if Podziemski sits. Moody is a guy getting some ownership, but Buddy Hield, I think, could be asked to play a lot. He could be a really good value. Guys like Quentin Post, Jackson Davis, could be interesting here. So yeah, Golden State already shorthanded, but could be a lot more shorthanded.
Let's see if we got highest leverage plays on FanDuel. Let's point out some of that fun info. Top of the list, Keon Ellis right now. I get the sense that will recalibrate itself at some point in time. It's rare that you're going to have a 5% to 22% optimal gap. That will likely just eventually one will come up, one will come down a little bit, and that'll smush itself out. But still a little positive leverage to keep in mind on the FanDuel side if you're looking at someone like Keon Ellis. Kuminga, positively leveraged. That there's no telling what's going to happen here, but you should want to have a bunch of Jonathan Kuminga. Luka, oddly enough, positive leverage. He looks that damn good on FanDuel. Jalen Williams with a Y, VJ Edgecombe. They're the standout pieces. On the opposite end, some of the guys that we have as the most over-owned on FanDuel, DeMar DeRozan, always fun to see. Moses Moody, Herb Jones, Amen Thompson, and then it really does trickle off after that. Jaylen Brown a little bit, Derek White a little bit, maybe the Boston guys. Slightly over-owned. 10 minutes to go in this one. I think now would be a very good time for DK to let you guys know what he's got going on and where you can find him.
Yeah, you guys can find me over on Tails, currently doing daily fantasy sports content as well as player props. So sportsbook stuff as well as pick'em. But yeah, basically doing videos every single day for DFS, live streams before lock. Kind of focus more on game theory and how the field's going to play it and, how to leverage that. So a lot of DFS stuff, and then props too if you guys are interested. So that's all over on Tails.
Follow him on Tails. Follow everyone you know on Tails. Myself, Laffy, Ben, Greg, Eric. The list goes on, and plenty of other options at Tails. Free picks feed right here. Doesn't cost you anything. Go to oddshopper.com. Go to Tails. Pull up the free picks feed. You see a bet that you like. Click the tail button. Maybe it's Harrison Barnes, under 15.5 PRA, thanks to Greg Ehrenberg. You click the tail button, pops up all of the odds right in front of you in order, and lets you know where the best spot is for you. Really doesn't get any easier than that, guys. Check it out. How did I lose the boom bust tool? Did I just skip out on OddsShopper and just close that joint? Apparently I did. Didn't know I did that. Pull that bad boy back up. Last updated 7 minutes ago. Got a lot of news left to get to. Chat, if you've got any questions, we would love to hear them. We could hit these questions for you guys. Do a little old back and forth. All right, what do you think of just Brunson, Jared Allen for Derek White and Murphy?
As far as that's like a 2v2, I would rather have the Derek White Murphy one, if that's
actually question. Hold on. I think I read this question earlier. Yeah, this is some sort of like season-long question.
Oh, okay.
I the moment I saw it, I was just like, I don't think this shit means anything for today. Why is Maxey 7%? That seems ridiculous. That's because he's expensive.
He's expensive, but I will agree. It always feels like he's been going a little bit under-owned. And I guess the one downside there too, we talked about that earlier, is just it's an early game. So like how much do you want to lock in from the early games with, some potential late news here. But if you want to go fire up a low on Maxey, I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
No, I think it's reasonable, but like at the same time, so is Şengün, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, John Morant, Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns, Ant, Brunson, Bam, Durant. Like I just read down a list of like 10 to 15 straight names in salary that are also not getting any ownership right now. So you could really like Maxey today, but when you start comparing him to all of those guys, it becomes pretty easy to see like why he is not breaking free. Not the same matchup for him as well. Philly gets a date with Cleveland, whereas Cade Cunningham gets a date with Utah. Those just aren't the same things. It helps to play shitty, bad defenses. And Philly's not doing that. And Detroit is like extra special doing that.
Yep, agree there.
But yeah, don't be surprised if he goes out there and just rains down threes like he did yesterday. Tyrese Maxey's very good at basketball, but 10K is a tough price tag to pay off. I'd like to have him. It's fun to watch. No Embiid. All right, there's a bunch of... Now, we're in this sort of conversation anyway, so I'm just going to set the salary cutoff to 8K.
Okay.
So let's, from Markkanen up, we've got a sea of minimally owned dudes here. Jokic, Cade, and Pascal Siakam in the 20s. Jaylen Brown at 15. Everybody else 10% or lower. Who is your standout name in that 10% or lower list?
I think it's Şengün for me.
Okay.
Yeah, like we mentioned it. The minutes. I think he's got he could play around 40 minutes here. Love the spot against the Grizzlies front court. So I think he would be the guy of the really low on options that I like.
Let's see. I mean, he is the top name in my list of the low-owned options. I have Jaylen Brown and I have Cade Cunningham ahead of Şengün just naturally. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about the guys that have lesser ownership, Şengün is next. It wouldn't be the first stand I've taken on Şengün this year.
Yeah, was that question for everyone? I thought it was the guys sub 10%.
No, you're good. If your answer is Şengün, I'm with you. It is also my answer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, samesies. So I hope he doesn't suck. I mean, double stamp of approval. What more could anybody want?
Right.
Okay. Same sort of question, different vibe. Jokic, Cade Cunningham, Pascal Siakam. Let's sort of treat it like a fuck, marry, kill here, but like, who's the kill?
Yeah. The kill for me would probably be Jokic. I think the guy that I like the best there, factoring in ownership, would be Siakam, but that's a tough one. All three are in really good spots.
Anthony Edwards will play, by the way.
Yep. Okay, expected that. But yeah, like I said, I think Anthony Edwards, while you don't project him for it, like could very easily play 35 minutes tonight.
By the way, I'm in agreement with you here that it is also, I think it's Jokic. So this is becoming a very boring segment that I've just crafted out of the end of this show. But the 12K number is just problematic. And if I'm going to get to more Alperen Şengün at 9,400, I'm probably not getting as much Nikola Jokic at 12K. But that said, if I run Sims in the next 45 minutes as we prep for lock, and I somehow see that I have 75% Nikola Jokic, it's not like I'm going to try to change it. I'm going to be stoked about it because he's awesome and I'll watch it and hope he goes crazy. But it's not what I expect right now. That's all.
Yeah, right now, again, I'm basically just playing one lineup and not playing Jokic, so guarantee him to go for like 80 fantasy points.
Do you want to play Anthony Edwards in Madison Square Garden tonight at 8,900, shooting guard only?
I don't think I can do it, but I wouldn't knock someone for taking that shot. It's not like it's an amazing price point, but like he's completely unowned and the ceiling's still there. So yeah, personally, I'm not going to do it, but if someone wanted to take that shot in like a large field tournament, I would say that's totally fine.
Ant is Ant, but OG and Mikal are not the easiest matchups. One of those names is true. Mikal Bridges getting a lot of credit for defensive talents that have come and gone. Shout out BD. I got nothing else for this slate right now. We have a ton of news left to go. Some of that will be trickling in over the next 30 minutes. And the good news for you guys, there is no better place to be than right here in this stream to get that news. NBA Live Before Lock is the show that is coming up next. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist. They're going to handle everything that pops up from now until 7 o'clock. And then we're not stopping there. Playback.tv/Stokastic. Myself and Greg Ehrenberg are going to watch basketball games for the next hour. And if news pops up, we're going to late swap and talk about it. We'll talk about bets, talk about anything that we could really think of for that hour. But we're going to set ourselves up for the late swaps because we're going to swap heading into that 7:30 window. We've got swaps set up for that 8 o'clock window. You guys want to be with us now for the rest of the night. There's 2 more hours to go. You're only through the first third. It might be the best third, but there are still 2/3 left to go. Hey, Live Before Lock crew, you guys ready to get this started?
That was really enthusiastic. Go us. That was great.
Lots of excitement there, guys.
Go ahead, Josh.
Bump. That was good. We need more noises.
I do it. I've been a little bit nicer with it lately, but I used to boo Eric if he was talking for too long and stuff like that because we've got sound effects for that. When I gave him a lot of applauses yesterday also.
Most popular play on the slate today. No big deal. No big.
Well, whatever your nuke of the night tonight is, it's not going to be as good as it was on Monday. And I expect that it's going to be more something like this.
I didn't know I could do that. There's one right there that says boo. There's one that says boo, and you didn't pick it.
Yeah, because you had already mentioned boo. I needed to go with a different one. I went gong.
But there's
Danny's having a lot of fun right now.
No?
Get out of here.
I'm going to get out of here,
guys.
All right, see you guys.
I'm out. Later. Bye, DK.
All right, guys. It is time for NBA Live Before Lock. And like Josh said, just because this is going to be ending in an hour, it doesn't mean by the way, if the stream turned off right there, we would have had a clear culprit if it just shut out. Josh is lingering around and then all of a sudden the stream turns off. So next hour, Eric and I have you covered right here, bring you right up to lock with anything that might happen in terms of breaking news, lineup changes, anything along those lines. But after that, Josh and I are going to be over on Playback. We'll be breaking down any kind of lineup changes, anything that late scratches happen, things along those lines. We ended up not getting the Pelicans starting lineup until after lock yesterday. So who knows what today might have in store, but do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is a pretty big slate, Eric. So number one, how are you doing? But two, what are the pieces of news that are most important to you for tonight's slate that we're waiting on?
I've never been happier because there is only one NBA game and one NFL game tomorrow. And for those who don't know, my schedule usually is just like wake up early, stay up late, and it's just sports all day, which again, I'm not complaining about, but I get to go out to dinner with the wife tonight because we'll be able to just like chill. One NBA and one NFL game that's like free for me in terms of like making graphics and stuff. So looking forward to a pretty chill night there, but playing DFS up until then, that's for sure. I would say for this slate specifically, there's a guy who's kind of pulling some ownership, but I think he should be pulling way more ownership. Am I on the wrong mic? It must be. Good call. Thank you. That must have been that way for my NBA show this morning then too. Great.
It's all right. I'll tell you guys the best way to hear Eric. Nobody can even see because I did it on the back end. There's nothing that goes up. I did mute Eric, but that's something only him and I were able to see. Nobody else could see that watching the show. Now he's just pretending.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. Anyway, there's a guy that's pulling some ownership, but I think he should be pulling a lot more. There's going to be a starting lineup that comes out in 2 hours, I would say. I think it's going to surprise some people. I think we're going to have a surprising starting lineup from one team on this slate tonight. And I cannot wait to jam it. Oh, Stephen Leibowitz, you are correct. The audio from this morning was trash. Good to know. It was 5 a.m. So I woke up early to go through NBA props and try to make money for myself. So you know what? Leave me alone, but good to know. I'll have that fixed for tonight. Nothing else to add, really. I think it's a pretty straight up slate. It's just nice to see Beef Stew up there. Greatest nuke in the night call ever. And now we're just going to jam him in at 50% and can't wait to watch him put up 20. That'll be great.
You know whose mic always works perfectly?
Not yours.
Supreme Juice's mic.
Oh my God.
Supreme Juice, the reigning defending number one man on the leaderboard, just ahead of Eric Lindquist over on Tails. Perfect.
I had a perfect Sunday and I can't even get number one. Can't even get number one. Are you kidding me?
Look, he's questioning. It's like, what's going on? I've never heard. I've never, on the truth, 100% honest, I've never once heard Supreme Juice have audio issues. It's not number one for no reason.
You're a Supreme douche, 69.
Oh, how could you? Now Eric's just being a sore loser because he's not at the top of the podium.
That's what today's for.
If you guys do want to get all of the bets over at Tails, just head on over to tails.bet or download the Tails app. And then also, if you're there and enjoying your experience, leave us a nice review. 5 stars, write a couple sentences or so. Those couple of minutes, it goes a long way to helping keep our content free. So we really do appreciate it. I'm curious, though, Eric, what is this starting lineup that you think could be changing?
I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to start D'Angelo Russell.
Ooh, okay. So we got D'Angelo Russell, who I already have in a good portion of lineup, $6,100. I've got him in a third of my lineup. So what's making you think that D'Lo moves into the starting unit?
So some people know ball and some people pretend to know ball. I am one of them who knows ball. And here's what happens. You get 2 massive point guards, Cade Cunningham followed by Amin Thompson in back-to-back starts. I think Jason Kidd was probably going to start him, and it just fell in a spot in the schedule where it didn't work. And I think anybody who's watched Klay Thompson this season can realize how bad Klay Thompson's been. He hasn't played over 22 minutes in a game all season long. And Max Christie was kind of the surprise start, I think, a couple of games ago where I was like, oh, shit, Max Christie's getting the start. I think Christie's still a body that they want to have out there, and he's been doing okay. I can't imagine the Dallas Mavericks are going to roll out another starting lineup with nobody over a 15% assist rate on it and just continue to go in with like a straight face. Like D'Angelo Russell has to start. And this is the perfect spot to drop him into. Jeremiah Fears is a baby. He is my height, 6'2". He weighs 25 pounds less than I do. He's like 170. And it's just a little dude in the NBA out on a floor. You also have Jordan Poole and Jose Alvarado. This is a spot where D'Angelo Russell should be able to cook right from the beginning and gives us an opportunity, Jordan Poole out, by the way, gives us an opportunity to just get to a lot of D-Lo. He has that shooting guard eligibility, which pretty helpful, I think. And I'm just going to play an unbelievable amount and wait for that news to come out later.
Well, here we go. Well, I'm already getting him in a bunch of lineups. So like I said, if he's starting, I'm already cool with that. I've already got him in a third of my lineups, D'Angelo Russell. But let's talk about the Jordan Poole situation, because he was moved into the starting lineup last night, which was somewhat unexpected. Not like the craziest thing in the world, but he wasn't in the projected starting lineup on the site. Wasn't a guy you or I were expecting to start.
Nope.
And then what ends up happening with the New Orleans Pelicans, who are playing the Dallas Mavericks tonight, is Jeremiah Fears doesn't close the game. That was no good for me. Jordan Poole doesn't close the game. That was no good for me because I had also swapped onto a decent amount of him. And then at center, Kevon Looney didn't close the game, which was also very detrimental to my lineups. Instead, it was Derek Queen who started over him. But now we're taking Jordan Poole out of the mix. I'll tell you who I like, just initial gut reaction, and we'll see what our projections do to update. I like Jose Alvarado, Eric.
I love Jose Alvarado today, and I liked him a little bit yesterday. I didn't pull the trigger on all that much. The thing that was frustrating, obviously, is I thought Derek Queen was going to start, and I still played some, but like I would have jammed Derek Queen, and he played pretty darn well for what Derek Queen is. Like I kind of liked what I saw. I saw your tweet as well that you kind of felt the same way. Like there's some interesting parts to Derek Queen's game. What they gave up for him is not sensical, but yes, definitely a serviceable NBA player going forward, and somebody that in 18 minutes put up 39 fantasy points. That seems pretty darn fun. So with Zion out, hopefully we can carve out some more minutes for him here. Makovich quietly played 15 minutes, and I'm curious what his ownership gets to in any way, shape, or form, but we definitely have some pieces there that make some sense. And also, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, DeAndre Hunter is out. Come on, Looney. Like, it's so frustrating just kind of looking at these rotations and how everything panned out. But yesterday was a great day for GPPs. I think we saw a little bit of the hand played. Like Jose Alvarado going to definitely be more important today, and his ownership's about to come way up.
Do you think he's going to start?
I mean, after yesterday, I don't want to act like I know, because I didn't expect Poole to start. Nobody did really. And then Derek Queen didn't get the start. Kevon Looney did. I assume Looney gets the spot start again, but like, could they play Derek Queen at the 4? I mean, Basketball Monsters had that in all day. I don't know if I agree with it. Obviously, I have a lot of that game like everybody else anyway, and it's late enough in the slate where I can kind of like make some calculated moves with my lineups. I'm going to say he doesn't still. I think they'll go Fears, Jones, Murphy, 1, 2, 3 still. And 4 or 5, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, we'll see when that starting lineup drops. And then also, as came up there, DeAndre Hunter, you brought that up there. He was also just ruled out, kind of regardless whether he ends up starting or not. Jose Alvarado, he is somebody who I'm going to have interest in. We've got Alvarado. Even before this news, Alvarado is projected for 21 fantasy points at $3,300. Yep. What is going to be projected for? Like 25, 26 fantasy points now. He's a really, really strong looking value option. So I am willing and ready to get screwed by Pelicans value for the second consecutive night, Eric. I'm ready for it.
It's going to get ridiculous. Like I think there's a world where like we could even be clicking on Jordan Hawkins. I think there's a world where we could be clicking on Matkovich. Like I just have no idea who New Orleans is going to start and then what that rotation is. But what I do know is with, Murray's out forever, but like with Poole, Missy, and Zion out, that's 3 guys who would have been playing a pretty considerable amount. 2.5 starters because Poole, it's kind of been 50-50 for him. But yeah, I think it's going to be full go for whomever starts at the 4. And And then we're going to have to take some shots on some of these bench guys because there's just too many minutes up for grabs.
Yeah, and we'll see when all that updates. Jeremiah Fears, he's going to be much lower on today. Willing to go back to him. He didn't even play poorly on a points per dollar base, on a point per minute basis. He just only played 17 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, he got completely face-effed by Jose Alvarado's score. It's just like, let's go to the guy that, I will say this, like Jose Alvarado, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I think he's like Patrick Beverley-ish, where like he really likes himself some Jose Alvarado, and you're going to spike upside on specific days where he just feels confident and like goes out and bulldozes like a matchup. I don't feel as good about this spot just purely because Dallas has some size at guard. I mean, if D'Lo gets the start like I'm expecting him to, obviously, I think that's a really good spot for him to fall into. And, the majority of the minutes are going to the point guard there. Jeremiah Fears and him, not really an issue there, but 3,300 does a lot for your lineups. I assume his ownership is going to come up. Fantasy score is going to come up to north of 24, and we're probably just going to play a lot of him.
This was a super chat that was left during the last show, but still want to shout out Sean Jeezy. Sean said, I've seen, I think 3 winning screenshots over the last week from Sean Jeezy, including a big 5-figure one on FanDuel. But Sean saying that he's had a hot run of DFS the last few days and just wanted to say thank you guys for all of your insight every night. Good luck, everyone. So once again, in fairness, this was a message left for the deep dive guys and not for us, but no reason we can't take some credit for it, Eric.
No, I'll take some credit. I retweeted him. Did they retweet him? I don't think they retweeted him. I retweeted him. Sean, come on now.
By the way, I just got really confused because I don't know if you saw.
I saw the picture. I did
for Jose Alvarado from the Phillies getting a contract extension. So I see this notification pop on my phone. I'm like, what's because Jose Alvarado? We were just talking about it. And it comes up. So I've never had that happen before with the cross sport notification in quite that way.
No, it was absolutely insane. I looked at it, I was like, what? And it caught me by surprise. But yeah, lefty Jose Alvarado out of the Phillies pen, contract goodness. So always good times, exercising options. And we're going to exercise options rostering the basketball one who surely will not play as well as he did last night, but I don't think it'll matter because 22, 24 still probably does something for you.
All right. So let's see if we've got the data updated. By the way, you guys will see I had the FanDuel ownership here on screen. And then I'll go back over to the DraftKings, which still pending. Makes sense. There's a handful of things for the data team to update. Yeah. I'm sure it'll all be set in a couple of minutes. And then we could rerun Sims for ourselves, Eric, and see where it is that we stand as far as ownership and whatnot, our exposures. Here's what we got from Discord. Question here from Kevin Cash App. He wants to know, do we like Claxton or Nurkic for single entry on DraftKings, or should he pay up for Daniel Gafford instead? So once again, the options here, Claxton, Nurkic, or Gafford. Who's your preference of those 3? It's Gafford for me.
I'm looking at my lineups because things are going to change a little bit. And yeah, it's Gafford just purely. He's unavoidable at 4,700 in some capacity. Like you're going to take shots on Gafford. If you're playing 150 and you play like 0 Gafford, you'd make no sense to me as a person because Gafford is a really good fantasy performer. And this is obviously like the nut spot to get dropped into. I mean, Derek Queen, Kevon Looney, whomever else, plays center on this stupid team. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah. Daniel Gafford, one of 10 centers that are making up the Dallas Mavericks roster. A little bit of there, but they primarily just have guys who play the same position. But Gafford, yeah, I think he's one of the stronger options that we have on the entire slate. If he had eligibility beyond just center at his price and projection, I think he'd be my most rostered player on the entire slate.
Probably. I don't know. There's not a lot that's going to stop D'Lo from being my highest owned player today. There's just really nothing.
All right, let's see what else we have.
Him not starting would do it, but there's that.
Yeah, him not starting, then that would definitely undo that.
Yeah, then I will shut up.
No more questions from Discord at the moment. Don't forget, if you guys do want to get access to our Discord channel, simply sign up for any of the packages that we have here at Stokastic. Link to sign up is down below in the YouTube description box. You can either sign up for any of our NBA packages individually or an all-access package, or take advantage of our link join offer, where for each one of our affiliate partners you sign up for, you get 1 free month of Stokastic Core Sims access to a sport of your choosing. And those stack too. So if you want to pick 3 sites to sign up for, then you get 3 free months of NBA, or you could do 2 free months of NBA and a free month of NFL. So check out all of our affiliate partners. Eric, let's check to see if the ownership and projections are updated. Not quite yet. I am definitely interested to see.
How about this then? While that's happening, let's talk about FanDuel for a second. Because they don't get a lot of love. We're still 45 minutes away. And I think it's a fun talking point.
Yeah, we've had it up the whole time now.
Okay. No. I'm just saying the difference of the slate. Just because you have the evening games, you have the 3 evening games. And while we're waiting for it to update, we've got the Lakers without Austin Reeves, and we've got a Luka slate where Luka and Wemby are going up against each other, and it's just nuclear. We also have SGA, who put up 60 yesterday in less than 30 minutes. That hurt my feelings because I had so much of him and Harden on FanDuel and ended up playing cash over there. And boy, Mark Williams also tried to win me some tournaments over there. Too bad blowout and stuff, even though he got that fourth quarter run a little bit. But what do you think about OKC now with kind of a depleted roster in this spot? Because I think FanDuel is a very interesting slate because of how good these evening games look. And I'd even mention probably the gold mine, Golden State playing without Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, and then Sacramento playing without Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis. I mean, it is an insane FanDuel slate in the evening.
Yeah, so obviously the game between the Warriors and the Kings has an immense amount of value in it because you got a bunch of guys out on both sides. The only downside of that is the total 223.5, which I think is the lowest total of the entire day by a pretty significant margin. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 5 points lower than any other game, but there's still so much value on both sides of that game because of the amount of guys who are out. But you'd also ask me about OKC. So you guys can see you've got OKC up here on the screen, and SGA at 11.4. There's other guys I prefer as pay-up options, but Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y, that is. I don't know. I haven't heard an update on Jalen Williams with an E in a minute here, but Jalen Williams with a Y. And keep in mind also, Jalen Williams initially was questionable for the first game on the slate coming off of the wrist injury and still hasn't played yet this season. But Jalen Williams with a Y is always a really good fantasy producer. It's just a question of will he actually get on the court? And now that there's enough guys out for OKC, he's been playing some more actual extended minutes. And even with the team being, not completely depleted in the front court, I think there's a role for Jalen Williams here. And he's showing up in a good amount of lineups. So I run everything through the Sims. You guys will see he is projected for 22% ownership, but one of the most positively leveraged players on the entire FanDuel slate in our tools. So when you ask me about OKC, I primarily want to talk about Jalen Williams.
Totally. Me too. I think he starts. He started alongside Hartenstein 2-3 games ago it was. And that one caught me by surprise then. He started against New Orleans with Zion and Missy on the other side. And this is obviously a front court that is pretty big there over there with Donovan Clingan. They're going to have Jeremy Grant coming off the bench. It just makes sense to me that you would potentially just go back to that same starting lineup. I see some places that have Isaiah Joe kind of leaning that direction. He shot the freaking piss out of it yesterday against the Clippers. It was insane to watch. He does that, puts up 22 real points in 10 seconds, it feels like. But Jalen with a Y is so well-rounded, does so many good things. I mean, his triple-double was an auto bet last year when they just did the entire line change and sat the starting 5 in a couple of those games. I think he hit it twice or 2 or 3 times at the tail end of last year when they were resting everybody and getting ready. But with no Caruso, with no Dort, with no Chet Holmgren, it just makes all the sense in all the land to jam him as a value piece at 4K. In cash, he's definitely somebody who's extremely viable, probably somebody you want, but I like him. I really like Cason Wallace as kind of a contrarian option, wasn't pulling as much ownership as I think he should have. And then, again, this entire evening, there are so many places to kind of put your money towards. So Jokic, highest owned player that I've got on FanDuel right now by a pretty considerable margin.
Yeah, people in chat are wondering, why is SGA low owned? Or somebody saying, like, why is Maxey low owned? There's just a lot of pay up options for today.
Yeah.
So SGA single digit ownership on FanDuel. I don't think that's really incorrect with him being 11-4. It's a big price point.
Yeah, and it's an 11-game slate on FanDuel. That's kind of the other part of it too, is that like we have Cunningham, Jokic, Maxey on a back-to-back, which, is what it is. Şengün, Mitchell, Mobley. You've got all these guys that are all 9K plus. You could potentially get Jalen Brunson playing without Karl Anthony Towns. That's going to look nuclear. So like we have so many spots on today's slate that just, I really like the FanDuel slate. I would urge you strongly to play both slates or both sites today if you're available to do so, because people will not be late swapping into what they need nearly as much, like reacting to starting lineups in that late night window. And it's a 42,900 entry GPP there, the main. So it's the largest GPP that I've seen over there for like their main iteration. So yeah, I'm playing quite a bit on FanDuel as well. So wanted to give them a shout out.
So if Eric is struggling to get his lineups in prior to lock, we know it's because he's playing on all of the DFS sites and he is panicking. So
back in the day, I'd play 4 or 5 when it was like Yahoo and Fantasy Draft, and like I was playing everything, and that was a bad decision. I miss having a vigor for it that way. Now it's like I do really try to focus in making sure that also my betting stuff is nice and tight and making sure that I'm making good decisions there. But when it was all me, all DFS all the time, those were really good days. I was ready.
Get it right. Get it tight. Let's see what we've got for ownership and projections. I saw Rich post in chat that is updated now. So let's go to the Pelicans. By the way, Tyson was confirmed starting in place of DeAndre Hunter. That's not anything that's massively surprising. Here's what we've got for the Pelicans. This one's going to matter. Pelicans projections now. Sort by ownership. Oh boy, this team is popular for a slate of this size. We have 6 players at least 20% owned from the New Orleans Pelicans tonight, Eric. We've got Jose Alvarado, 38% owned. We've got Herb Jones, 36% owned. Jeremiah Fears, 34% owned. Field, at least for now, still going back to Fears despite what ended up happening yesterday with him barely playing in the second half. Trey Murphy is 29% owned. Sadiq Bey, 23.5% owned. Derek Queen, 23% owned. How funny would it be if it's just like Looney plays better than Queen, just Looney closes the game and puts up the big game, and it's Queen kind of struggling off the bench. But what do you make of this initial ownership? This is a very popular team for a 10-game slate.
Yeah, they should be. They really, really should be. It's an 8-game slate. It's 11 on FanDuel, but yeah, on DK for tonight.
I mean, listen, it's a big number. Not all of us could count that high. No need to brag.
Yeah, you're just off by 20%, fucking heathen, whatever. Anyway, or 25% technically, because 20% because you said 10, I said 8. Be 25 in my perspective, 20 years. Anyway, who cares? Jose Alvarado, Herbert Jones, totally makes sense. Herbert Jones, I will say, I could probably get away from a little bit more and take some shots on the Matkovich Hawkins side of things, but like Matkovich is probably a little too thin. He's just a good fantasy producer. That's always in the back of my mind. We're not going to really know. The same thing applies. Copy paste what I said yesterday. I didn't know what my lineups were going to look like until we got the starting lineup. Once we got Looney starting, it kind of sucked. I still played enough Derek Queen that I didn't want to, jump a bridge or anything, but I would have jammed the Derek Queen side of stuff like I had pre-made in my lineups. If we assume Looney starts, though, that ownership, what happens to it? Because like nobody can feel good after yesterday. Even like how much is too much to like try to talk yourself into if he starts?
It wouldn't be that hard to talk me into some of Looney. Looney's $3,200. We already have him projected from north of 20 fantasy points. If he's starting, then yeah, I'll play. So he's not going to be like a core play like he was yesterday, but I'll have exposure to him.
Yeah. Oof. This is a tough one for me. I mean, it's just funny to see Derek Queen pulling 3 times more ownership because of a box score where, obviously Derek Queen played 3 more minutes, but he didn't like play all that much. Like he was very, very impactful in that time. I don't know what to make of any of it, Greg, and I won't really know what to make of it till I see what ownership is after we get the starting lineup. So the sooner we get that, the better I'll have an idea of like how I want to do it from a game theories perspective. But I honestly, I'll just say this, I don't have a take. Like I want to play 2 or 3 of these guys and just mix and match. I don't know who they're going to be because, Brunson, if he shows up as a point guard option to like really, really jam without Cat, that'd be one thing. I think it's pretty likely we see Cat now that Ant's playing too, for what it's worth. I'm sure that they're not immune from like both probably wanting to face each other to some extent, but if he's sick, he's sick, and that is what it is. And, the Knicks will look interesting, and we'll kind of be spreading them around the board as tournament plays. But yeah, no matter what, you're going to be playing Pelicans. I'm sorry, it sucks.
And that is definitely one of the key pieces of news that we're going to be waiting on heading into lock, because the odds of us getting that starting lineup in the next 35 minutes, considering the start time, it's what, 0%, something along those lines?
0.
0.0. All right. I've got Sims running with some updated data now here. And anything else you want to touch on from the Pelicans? Honestly, a lot of guys look really good from this team, and they're pulling a lot of ownership.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a take? I honestly, I try not to force a take anymore when I don't have one, just so you know that, like, I think we're all spraying and praying to some extent, but like, how do you not?
Yeah, so I have a couple of things here. First off, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremiah Fears comes in underweight to his ownership projection, just because so many people got burned by him yesterday. So I am favoriting my top lineups now. And yes, I'm overweight to the field on Fears, not just in terms of what his projected ownership is, but also in a way where I think he's going to actually end up being lower owned than otherwise projected. I absolutely love Jose Alvarado tonight. That's not any kind of a crazy take, but definitely do really, he's my favorite overall Pelican to be rostering today.
A plus 21 yesterday in court time. Jeremiah Fears was a negative 17. Like, it makes sense that they just kept Alvarado out there. It made sense.
Other than that, let's see. Let me check my lineups and see who did I come in underweight to the field to on the Pelicans. Even with the field on Derek Queen right now. Also, I think Queen's going to end up being higher owned than what his projected ownership is.
Agreed.
I'm a little bit underweight to the field to Sadiq Bey. Even with the field on Trey Murphy, and then I'm over on Alvarado, Fears, and Herb Jones.
Who's your starting five, Greg? Who's your starting five? Who's your starting five?
All right. So starting five. All right. I am going to say Alvarado, Fears, Herb Jones, Murphy, and Queen.
I mean, that would be the sexiest lineup for me. That would make me feel really good about playing all of them. They're all the cheapy guys, like outside of Fears, who just, doesn't exactly inspire awe. If we got Alvarado starting, I'd just play infinite amounts. If we got Derek Queen starting, I'd just play infinite amounts. I really hope Lundy doesn't start. I really, really, really hope he doesn't. That's all I'm asking for, Pelicans. I didn't want it yesterday. I think we talked about that pretty extensively. It went about as poorly as you would expect it to. He was like a negative. So let me pull up the box score. He was a negative 17. No, 22. Negative 22 for Mr. Kevon Looney in his court time. He looks like he's playing basketball in molasses.
The thing that was funny, too, is the first quarter went really poorly. He had a great second quarter from a DFS standpoint. He had a stretch where he scored. It was like his entire fantasy points for the entire game. He scored, I think, 9 of them in like a 3-minute span in the second quarter. It's like, all right, Looney's going to end up being fine. And then he struggled to start the second half, came out of the game, and just never checked back in.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner kind of made him his B. He had a couple of stupid fouls like early in that third quarter when I was watching, and then it got out of hand. Kalkbrenner played pretty well for what it's worth.
Yeah, he's looked solid so far this year. Yeah. By the way, here are the entire list of injuries that we're still waiting on for today. Cat is questionable. If you're playing over on FanDuel, Pajemski is questionable. That one's going to matter. Draymond Green is questionable. That also matters. Jabari Smith is questionable for today. But that's kind of it. We're waiting on some starting lineups too, the Pelicans being a big one. But otherwise, we've got a pretty good amount of injury news that's been sorted. Do you have a strong lean on whether Cat is going to be in or out?
I lean him in, but it wouldn't surprise me. It was kind of a weird thing to pop up that early in the morning. Almost like felt preemptive. Sometimes they do it just to like be reactionary and be like, oh, well, if you're not feeling 100%, we'll just list you as questionable because we don't want to get in trouble now. And it also gives like some gamesmanship with the Ant stuff going on. But with Ant playing, it just would feel like the narrative would be like you're ducking Ant, and I don't think he wants that. So I think Cat will play even if he's like somehow compromised. I think he'll be fine though.
All right, the next question here. We've got a handful of them from Discord, so let's get caught up on Discord questions, Eric, and then we'll run the nuke of the night. Starting here with Krebsy. Krebsy wants to know Max Christie or Herb Jones tonight. Herb Jones.
Yeah, it's Herb Jones by a mile. Also, I'm not going to say Max Christie 100% to start. My inclination would be Klay Thompson to the bench because of how bad he's been. He's been like a third percentile shooter in the NBA. True shooting around 40%. Not great, Bob. Not great. But Max Christie is still a distant second to Herb Jones.
And Pat Gang Swish wants to know, how do we feel about Isaiah Stewart? This should be a good question for Eric. He is the Isaiah Stewart expert around these parts. What are you doing with Isaiah Stewart? He's no longer the 5% owned that he was when you had him as your nuke of the night on Monday.
No, he is not. That ended up being sure. It's just one of those things where if teams are starting to like mix and match a pairing that you haven't really seen before, it sets off alarm bells. And so like when you're looking at stuff, it just has to kind of be reactionary that way. It obviously was a really good reaction, but now everybody's seen it and it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. We have a lot of Pelicans value to rotate through. There's no way he puts up that same fantasy score again. I'm playing a lot, but I'm not going to probably get to like the 50% number even. I bet I'm going to trim it down even a little bit more. I never try to be like in love with a take or a player that you had one day. Obviously that one stands out on Monday and it was been really, really fun, but like, I don't want it to affect my next slate. And I think it probably is more positive EV long-term to just like wait on the Pelicans news, wait for the starting lineup, have some lineup spots, move it around. Not saying you shouldn't play beef stew in a number of them, or if you're playing one, I would definitely consider him. But the way I'm going to do things, I'm probably going to be in that like mid 30-ish percentage number if the slate started now.
I've got 40% of them right now, so slightly overweight to the field. I am going to be making some adjustments here. This is related to the question we have here from M. Grizzly. He wants to know, is there anybody that we're boosting up or down? I'm going to be doing some slight negative boosts to early locking players, assuming we don't have the Cat news. Because if Cat is going to be questionable heading into lock, I just want to make sure I have myself some flexibility to make some swaps. So I'll be doing slight negative boosts to the early locking players. Anything that you are making specific boosts to for today?
No, not at the moment. There is a FanDuel potential nuke. So I'll have a DK and a FanDuel nuke. I'm playing like 40 lineups in the 5-5 over there. I'm playing 150 over on DK. So like it's pretty flipped or pretty split between the two for me in terms of volume. And like Steven Adams out, that's not expected.
All right. Yeah. No Steven Adams for tonight. And Steven Adams was, no, he was questionable. He just wasn't somebody who was, prominent enough to where I was putting much thought into his injury status though.
Şengün's ceiling looks pretty good. That's some extra center minutes.
Yep. So that's something with, and by the way, mentioned there, Jabari Smith, he is in. So what do we think we're going to get here? Just like a normal looking starting lineup for the Houston Rockets where it's not all gigantic humans.
Yeah. I think you get the standard Thompson. They've been starting Okogie. There's no reason to think that they won't. Durant, Smith Jr., Şengün.
Yeah, some games they go to the Steven Adams lineup, but now it'll have to be the normal people who are in there starting for them. Is this going to significantly change your exposure, or just maybe like a little bit more Şengün?
Yeah, I'm going to add like a fantasy point to Şengün. I'm sure we'll do that on the back end too. They have Clint Capella, who's been there, but they have just really been inclined to not play Clint Capella. I think he probably walks into what 12 minutes, something like that. But like, I got to think that the ceiling. Steven Adams is a better rebounder between the two of them for sure. And so, yeah, you add a little bit onto the top here for Capella or for, not for Capella, Jesus Christ, for Şengün.
Einstein wants to know, do we have any interest in Ray J. Dennis? a little bit. He's not a core play for me, but I'm about even with the field. I've got at least the last run of lineups I had 10% of them. I'll end up being a little bit underweight just because of the alterations that I'll make as we get a little bit closer to lock, just to have my games, my lineups a little bit more flexible and focusing on players that don't lock in the early part of the slate. If I was building one lineup, I wouldn't have Ray J. Dennis just because he does play in the first game on the entire slate. He's fine. I just don't love the start time.
Do we have that starting lineup? Assuming he's in it.
Starting lineup for the Pelicans is not out yet.
No. For Indy, for Ray J. Dennis.
Sorry. The Pacers. Yeah, I presume that I didn't see it officially come across yet, but I'm assuming that he starts at point guard with Quentin Rampage Jackson out.
You love doing that bit. It's just...
No, it's not a bit. That's what I mean, it is to an extent, but it's one of those, it's all I think about when I watch Pacers play. Like, that's just in my head. That's just, I sit there, I'm like, it's Rampage. And then I think about his fights in the UFC. It's very dumb, but that's how I watch all Pacers games this year.
Rip. He's dead, right?
I mean, pulled hamstring isn't quite dead, but.
Well, I'm like from fighting, like he's just done fighting.
You mean, okay. So this is like multiple things we're mixing. Rampage. So Quentin Jackson, the Pacer, has a pulled hamstring. That is why he is out, and Ray J. Dennis is expected to start in his place. Quentin Rampage Jackson, the actual real MMA fighter, he's been in the media a lot recently because his son beat the shit out of somebody, but he's otherwise doing fine.
That's right. I do remember that. Clowney's starting again for what it's worth, not nearly as appealing this time around.
Man, Thomas, Porter, Clowney, Claxton. That's the starting lineup for the Nets. So let's answer this one more super chat, and then we'll do Nuke of the night. We've got A. Wright wants to know, who are the top 5 plays, not including Pelicans, that we're waiting on? I assume it's just top 5 plays that aren't the Pelicans then. I don't really know. I don't know that we're waiting on part.
I mean, yeah, we got the typical Rockets starting lineup that we had just talked about as well. I mean, the top plays are Beef Stew Gafford, Herb Jones. No Pelicans,
no,
right?
No
Okay.
Pelicans.
All right. Well, Stewart, Jones. I'll put Jokic in there as well because it's Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nurkic probably goes in that bucket, even if I've named 3 centers now, so that's not very helpful if you're building it out for one lineup. But I'm just going off of what I had for a previous build. It's going to change as I update everything for Alvarado, who's probably going to be in like nearly 100% of my lineups. And last guy I'll put in is Derek Queen. Right now, no Pelicans.
Oh my God. So there are so many reasons that your answer is ridiculous to me. First off, you included 2 Pelicans anyway. You thought deeply about who to include, not from the Pelicans. They answered Derek Queen. And then you didn't say D'Angelo Russell, who you said no matter what was going to be your highest player.
I was looking at the names. I zoomed in on the names. I didn't have the team thing on the side. And I was just going with my brain based on exposure. And
you should never do that. That's a mistake on your part.
I know. I was just trying to be helpful, and I did the opposite. Just, yeah. This is me. This is me right now, BD. That's me.
I'll answer for Eric. I was going to give that one. I think D'Angelo Russell's a really good option today, and I am stunned that you did not answer him.
Oh, well, I wanted to save him for Nuke of the Night, but I guess I'm going to do a different Nuke of the Night now on DK, but D'Angelo Russell was it.
Sean Mahler, why is LeBron only $8,000 on FanDuel? Why does it matter? Go play him. Go play him if you think he's underpriced.
Yeah, let me know how that goes for you.
They do just assign random. We see this sometimes. Players come back from injury. And
Shepard starting. Oh, God, mother of Christ, Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Oh.
No, what are you on about now?
Ben Shepard starting.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, FanDuel, DraftKings does this too. They just kind of randomly assign price points to injured players. And then all of a sudden somebody comes back and it's like, oh, why is this guy min price when they're normally 10K or something like that? These things they just apply random price points to guys who are injured. But
who cares?
Eric, it is time for the Nuke of the Night. All right, went with the shorter one today because time is going really quickly on the show. So, Eric, explain to the people why D'Angelo Russell is your nuke of the night, but not one of your 5 favorite players on the slate outside of the Pelicans.
No, he was my number 1 player coming into today. I do think he starts. I'm not going to make him the official nuke, though, because I gave that take so early in the show, and I feel like that's kind of disingenuous to what this show is supposed to be. So why don't we get a little bit nutty? How does that sound? Can we get a little crazy up in here? Because there's one guy specifically, and I'm curious what you think about him. And he's kind of doing everything on the floor. And this Brooklyn Indy game, there's one cumulative win between them. Nobody wants to play Michael Porter Jr. today. Michael Porter Jr. is going to play an infinite amount. He was out for a personal reason. It is sub 10% against an Indy team that could not guard you, that could not guard me. And I'm just kind of looking at this mid-range. And if I'm going to play somebody here, I want to play somebody who I think can get me 50. Michael Porter Jr. has been very fantasy viable, and they've been in massive blowouts. He put up 43.8 fantasy points in 31 minutes against Philly. 33 minutes against Atlanta, which got a little bit wonky there towards the end, 48.2. You are telling me right now that nobody wants to click on him whatsoever? I'm a little surprised by that. So Michael Porter Jr. sub 10% over on DK, my nuke of the night.
I'm going to go with Jalen Brunson at $8,800. I tend to think Cat doesn't play today. Even if he plays, he might be a little bit compromised. But once again, I think that he is going to ultimately not end up playing today. That would be a pretty decent usage spike to all the other guys on the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, single-digit own, potentially playing without Cat, or at the very least, a Cat that does not appear to be 100% because he's questionable in the injury report with an illness. So give me Jalen Brunson today at a modest price point and pretty low ownership too. Single-digit ownership, they're going to Jalen Brunson. I think that's a pretty good way to differentiate a lineup.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it.
I'm trying to remember who were the nukes we had yesterday.
Kevin Huerter had a decent game. Nothing special.
Yeah, I had I think I got like 40 fantasy points, something like that, out of Dyson Daniels. Also like solid.
Pretty good.
Nothing special, but yeah, I couldn't quite remember who it is we went with yesterday. They were okay. They're okay. If you played him, you were happy about it, but you didn't win a GPP because he had Dyson Daniels or Kevin Huerter. He was Kevin Huerter. He was not Kevon Huerter last night.
Monday was the best sex of my life. Tuesday, I just, it was like, all right, well, I built it up too much. The hype was too much. I couldn't stand it.
That's why we tried to edge the nuke of the night last night, but
we did not edge it well.
But once again, it was all
right.
They were
fine. Yeah. It was one of those
Suave 10 p.m. games on FanDuel. Wemby and Luka, so this is just a 1v1. Luka or SGA. Luka or SGA.
By a lot.
That is
Luka by a lot. Luka by a lot.
And the next questions here. Now, these ones are coming to us from Discord. Krebsy wants to know, in a tournament with $500, can you play Jackson over Gafford? I mean, you can do whatever you want. I prefer Gafford, though.
Yeah, I prefer Gafford.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing to consider, too, Gafford starts later. You're going to have a lineup spot locked up a little bit earlier if you go with Isaiah Jackson. So that gives you a little bit less flexibility. Gafford for me.
Okay. You wanted my FanDuel nuke as well. I forgot to give my FanDuel nuke. There's no doubt whatsoever. Russell Westbrook by a mile. 6,400 for Russell Westbrook without Zach LaVine, without Domantas Sabonis. Do you know what Russell Westbrook does in these kind of spots? The ball is in the air already, and it's not even 7 p.m. Pacific time. Like, the ball is already in the air. Russell Westbrook is $6,400 on FanDuel. Play it.
Super chat here from Eric Goodwin. Eric wants to know if Cat sits OG over PJ, if Cat plays PG over OG. All right, let me look here. All right.
That is probably the correct way of breaking it down for what it's worth. I probably agree exactly with both parts of that.
Yeah, I do as well. I was just looking over some projections. I think it makes total sense there, Eric. You as well, but also Eric, it's confusing. Everybody should have a number instead of a name. Very confusing when people have multiple names. Like our company here, we go on a meeting and half the people are named Jake. It's too many. Survival of the fittest. Sean Jeezy, Love the haircut, Greg. Thank you. You guys are both goats. Alvarado or Fears if you had to play 100% of one and 0 of the other. If I have to play 100% of one and 0 with Alvarado.
By a mile, Alvarado. He's cheaper too, so it gives you extra outs where like I can find some other ways of things not going well. When you invest salary into something, even at 5K there, it still has to perform. Whereas like Alvarado is just cheaper and whatever. Joey.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3,300. I think we have about as conservative of a projection on Alvarado as you could possibly have. We have him for 24 minutes. So meaning we have him coming off the bench, 24 minutes, 23 fantasy point projection. And he still shows up in the Sims more than just about any other player. And this is with this. I think if you were to ask me how many minutes does Alvarado play and you gave me this number, he is so much more likely to play more than 24 than under 24.
That is correct.
Back to Discord. Krebsy wants to know any lean on if Murray is playing. I tend to think in, but that's not like a super strong stance for yourself, Eric.
Yeah, I think Murray plays. If he doesn't, I already have infinite amounts.
Oh, never mind. He was upgraded to probable. Yeah, I think he'll play.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. Yeah, I didn't think he was on the injury report.
He's probable now. No, I was thinking he was questionable. So yeah, he should be fine.
I haven't looked at the 6:30 injury report yet, so I'm pulling it up and
Sniffs wants to know if we're boosting Eason or Capella.
I thought about Capella and then I kept living my life.
I got to rebuild out my lineups here for the most recent projections update that we did 2 minutes ago. But keep in mind, Steven Adams plays like 16 to 20 minutes. It's not like we're missing Şengün from the Rockets and there's all these front court minutes available. I'm not going to go, oh, all right, Cat playing.
Cat in.
Interesting. That's a bummer.
Yep.
JT Mack, DK cash game locks. Let's see. Who are we going to consider the absolute locks for cash games? So in cash games, Gafford, Stewart, Herb Jones, Alvarado. I'd say those 4.
Sounded great to me.
And I think we're all caught. Oh, no. There was a couple of other super chats that came in. One is from Sean Raza. Thoughts on Shaden Sharp for a FanDuel GPP? Do you have Shaden Sharp showing up in your FanDuel lineups, Eric?
Shaden Sharp, Shaden Sharp, I don't know.
Were you saying no or you don't know?
No, I do know that it's a definite no. No
Okay.
Shaden Sharp, no Shaden Sharp.
All right. Well, you only answered that in the most confusing way possible. But
I literally sang the thing. It's the bit. Okay. Just keep talking.
yeah, except you said I don't know with your answer being no.
Next question, Greg.
I'm just saying it was a little confusing.
Whatever.
Pierre says, he's only asking you. He doesn't give a fuck about what I think. Eric, for you,
Smart man.
Westbrook or Schroeder on FanDuel?
Westbrook by a lot. And I think you can play a lot of both for what it's worth. Schroeder, from my understanding, also shooting guard eligible. It's just that Westbrook is Westbrook, and 6,400 Westbrook without key cogs and playing big minutes already. Yeah, I'll take that against backup Golden State Warriors. Cam Spencer might start tonight. Like, what are we actually doing with our lives? Like, there's an actual chance, Pat Spencer. I even said the wrong brother. It doesn't even matter. Wrong twin.
Let's see. What else do we have for super chats here? By the way, I know that he doesn't care about my opinion. He just wanted to hear from you, but I like a Westbrook over Schroeder as well. Frankie Lofton. Frankie wants to know for DraftKings, Jokic and Brunson / Edwards or Maxey and Cunningham. That is... So here's where this, like, I said I like Brunson, but Edwards is also $1,200 more expensive than him. Like, I'm not leaving $1,200 in salary on the table for a main slate. So that is Jokic and Edwards for me.
Yep. Edwards, he's a Wolverine. He goes to locker rooms, comes back, whatever, has a hamstring injury, comes back immediately. He's going to play a ton of minutes already. Like, I think Ant's a really good GPP play. I don't want to go crazy with it, but like, yeah, that's the preferred side. I want the Jokic side.
Yeah, and then once again, I don't even love Edwards for the slate. It's him or somebody who's $1,200 less than him. It's a massive advantage in favor of Edwards as far as the pricing goes there if you have the adequate salary. Sean here wants to know Mitchell and George or Cade and Alvarado. That's Cade and Alvarado for me.
Cade and Alvarado.
And then back to Discord, we've got Bando is asking, do we like beef stew or Jarius Walker more? And will we have a problem playing both? I have no problem playing both. And I have a little bit more of Stewart on my last run that I did and doing one more run prior to lock. But I think that'll be Stewart over Walker for me. For yourself?
Stewart.
And the next question is from M. Grizzly. Do I have a new nuke of the night with Cat in? Yeah, so I don't have an alternative one lined up for you, but I had ROI boosts that I was giving to Brunson that I'm not going to have on him with the next run because Cat is in, so it's not news that we're waiting on. But yeah, Brunson still is viable. I don't like him as much as I did a few minutes ago when I thought the Cat was going to sit because obviously Cat proved me wrong and is playing through the illness when I thought he was going to sit.
Yeah.
Perrin, top 3 must plays. He's playing 20 lineups on the $5 on DraftKings. He wants to know the 3 players that he absolutely must have exposure to. All right. So 3 players you absolutely must have exposure to. Jose Alvarado.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy one for me. Daniel Gafford. And then one from you, Eric.
Just because of what the upside could be, I'm going to say Derek Queen. He's just too cheap and could just eviscerate in limited time. Where like Stewart's kind of, I'm not saying priced up. He's not priced to start, but the ownership's already there. Whereas Derek Queen, there's ways that it doesn't change a crazy amount, and he's just cheaper.
Yep, we've got lock coming up in 8 minutes, guys, but the content is not going to end there. Josh and I are going to be over on Playback, reacting to any kind of late-breaking news, starting lineup changes, which for the second consecutive day, the most important news that we're waiting for on the post-lock show, it's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans starting lineup. And, of course, that's going to be updated in all of our projections and data and the late swap tool as well. So if you guys do not have a good late swap process, you're leaving money on the table playing NBA DFS. Make sure to check out the Stokastic late swap tools to really make sure that you have the perfect late swap process because it's the biggest edge that exists in any DFS sport, Eric. We talk about it all the time, but It is late swaps. That's why we built the late swap tools that we have here, and that comes with all the packages that we have. We got a couple of questions that came in here from Win. Jalen Williams or Moody for today. That's Jalen Williams unless Pajemski is out.
Correct. Same.
Win wants to know Herb Jones or Jose Alvarado. I mean, way different price ranges. If it's Herb Jones in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, we're just making shit up now. 27 fantasy points for Herb Jones, 24 for Alvarado. Yeah, I mean, 1v1, it's not close. But Alvarado's my highest owned player because he's 3,300.
Yeah, it's just not really an apples to apples comparison with their price points. And then also, do you have any priorities from the Pistons game?
Yeah, a lot. Cade Cunningham, Yusuf Nurkic, what else? Jalen Duren, I think, is a good tournament play. I have 10% of him. I have Ron Holland in 9% of lineups. I think he's kind of an interesting guy. And obviously Beef Stew.
Yeah,
Beef Stew, 44%. So I guess I'm going to be overweight to him and be a liar. So that's cool.
I've got what I presume will be my final run before lock going right here, and then I'll know some of my final exposures. Pierre wants to know our favorite player at each position on FanDuel, and I'll go back to FanDuel and pull up some of the updated data that we have here. So, Eric, let's go our favorite players at each position on FanDuel, starting at point guard. It's hard to not say Luka with Austin Reeves out.
Luka and Russ are going to be in like every lineup that I make.
At shooting guard, And I'll sort by the optimal rates here as well as we go through this. At shooting guard, one player that is kind of hard to nail down here is Pajemski, just because he is questionable to play. I think that there's a really interesting way to get to Pajemski as a really highly projected player who, if that news doesn't come out until later, he might be like 12% owned on FanDuel or something super low.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good tournament plays in that after like that. Like Malik Monk is an unbelievable tournament play at 5%. Like there's so many of those guys that exist. For right now, put in Pajemski and figure it out later. Like you're going to have enough late exposure.
All right, at small forward on FanDuel, another one here. I know I'm kind of just giving out some chalk answers, but how do you not say Kuminga with all the guys out for the Warriors?
You say Kuminga. He's the small forward, power forward guy. DeMar DeRozan on the other side of that one, small forward, power forward guy. Like you're just playing a lot of both.
And then at power forward, Kuminga also has the dual position eligibility over on FanDuel. But I'm actually going to go in a slightly different direction here, Eric. I'm going to go with Wemby over on FanDuel against the Lakers. I mean, anytime that you could get Wemby at single-digit ownership over on FanDuel, I know he's coming off his weakest fantasy game of the season, but the defensive stat upside, it is crazy high for a ceiling for him on FanDuel. So we got Wemby, 9% owned? Give me some Wemby.
Correct. Yeah, it's just, he looks fantastic. I'll go Jokic because I have a lot of Jokic.
At power forward?
Sorry. I thought we were done from power forward. I gave you my power forwards, Kuminga and DeRozan. And then, Wemby, I didn't think about that whatsoever. I'm just playing a ton of that evening window, and then I'm going to figure it out after this show.
And then finally for me at center, that'll be Daniel Gafford on FanDuel.
Daniel Gafford, if you really want to go to the chalk answer. But yeah, Jokic for me.
No, Gafford isn't the chalk.
I'm saying...
I mean, he's popular, but he's the fourth most popular center on FanDuel.
22%. What are we doing here? There's power forwards. It's Jokic. Jokic is the guy. He's 11% on FanDuel. And we could have we could have 3,600, 3,800. We could have the craziest Golden State stuff you've ever seen in your life if Pajemski sits. Like we could have some Gary Payton chalk. We could have some stupid shit going on in our lives.
Gafford's going to be my answer, though. Let's see what we've got from Discord, and was one more super chat from Sunflower. Herb Jones and Cade, or Siakam and Nurkic, and why? That is going to be the Herb Jones and Cade side for me because it projects much better.
Correct.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there. Clean sweep. Clean sweep wants to know Keontae George or Murphy for today. Ooh, interesting.
A nice Chianti with fava beans. Real ones, no.
Keontae George or Murphy. That's Murphy for me.
Kawhi Leonard for Thursday. Not looking for that. Not looking for that news. Herb and Cade.
And then we've got Win wants to know, can Claxton go for over 37 fantasy points? Sure. I don't think I played all that much. I've got some of Claxton, but he's not a priority for me today.
Nor for me.
And then finally a question, what are our thoughts on Peyton Pritchard for FanDuel purposes? They're just better point guards. It's a very deep position today.
He is a person who exists in the world, correct?
Yeah, there's just better options. He's fine. I wouldn't look at a lineup with him and say like, oh my God, you can't play him. It's more so there's other guys I prefer to play though. All right, my lineups are looking good. I'm ready to upload these, and if I don't upload them now, they're never going to be uploaded. So I should probably do that right now, right?
It's a great idea. It's a great idea, Greg. You do you.
And uploaded with about 15 seconds to spare. So guys, that is going to do it for us. If you have not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm pulling the playback link right now because that is where Josh Engelman and I are going to be in a minute. And we've got some key news still to wait on as well. Here we go. Dropping that link into chat. So here's what we're waiting on overall for tonight. Pelicans starting lineup. That's obviously very important for tonight's slate. That is going to impact what our lineups are going to look like. Is Derek Queen going to start? Is Looney back in the starting lineup? Does Alvarado start and really solidify himself as the best overall value play on the slate? Only time will end up telling. Also, who knows if it's going to end up breaking while we are on the show? Probably not, but you never know. If you guys are playing the FanDuel slate, the really late news, we've still got Brandon Pajemski as questionable to play. That could be important. What is the Warriors starting lineup going to be? So that link I dropped into chat, if you want to get more of our content and watch the basketball games alongside us, Josh and I are going to be over on playback in about 5 seconds. Josh is probably over there, but I'm going to be joining him there. So if you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more free bets and content for us. Head on over to Tails, download the Tails app, and go check us out there. Later, guys.